Hey guys, want to share with you a very typical checkmating pattern and attack. This is one of the games I played this morning. My opponent's rated 1132, and so I've just woken up. I'm a bit bleary-eyed. I've played a couple of games. My wife's talking to me about the dog who's not very well, and I kind of take my eye off the ball, and I make some complete dumbass moves in this. But then I decide that because I let my opponent back in the game, I have to turn it around, and I decide to go for an unstoppable mate. Okay, so this is a pattern that you really need to learn, memorize, and be ready when you can spot it, because it's really quite simple. Okay, so I'll take you through the game, and you can enjoy watching me play like an utter patzer. Okay, so e4, c5, so the Sicilian, and instead of playing my b3, bishop b2 Snyder variation, I decided to mix it up and play the open Sicilian, knight to f3, we have knight to c6, and now d4. This is all very standard, I think. Now my opponent here should capture. The right move was captures, that's what I was expecting, but he doesn't. He pushes the g7 to g6, so he's obviously getting ready to, I'm guessing, fianchetto his bishop there. So I think this is a Sicilian dragon, is it? Anyway, so I push d5 to kick the knight, gain tempo, a3, kick the knight again. Well, that's the idea, but this is a good move, right? Because this pawn is now effectively pinned. Pawn cannot capture the knight because queen takes rook, and there we go. So I pin the knight now against the queen, and now we have the bishop fianchetto to g7. Okay. Now what I do is I now slide my bishop into c3, so I'm threatening to capture this bishop and then subsequently the rook. Okay. So my opponent captures, and I now capture with the knight. What this means is we have now a discovered defense, that the queen is now defending the rook, and that in turn means that this pawn on a3 is no longer pinned, and that in turn means that this pawn can now capture the knight. Okay, my opponent didn't think that through quite so far, so develops knight to f6, so I grab his knight. Now queen takes pawn, and I'm thinking, what a dumbass, I'm going to wipe the floor with this player. Okay, the player's rated 1132, so knows how to play chess. And so I just start throwing things away, really, and completely take my eye off the ball, think, let's develop my bishop, shore up my pawn structure, but oh no, I blunder a pawn. So now, yes, I'm a piece up, but 2 pawns to show for it. And then I make matters worse by proceeding to castle, not realizing that I have a hanging knight. So my opponent says, thank you very much, I will quite happily take that. Okay, so now I'm cross, right? I'm pissed off. I've just let my opponent right back in the game, and now I grit my teeth and think, what am I going to do? Right, so I think for now a minute, and I decide that it's time to go for an unstoppable mate. And the key, I think, here is, we have this pawn advanced there. Okay, so the idea is that I want to get my knight into here. Right, I want to get my queen to here, and then, or actually somewhere on the h-file. Okay, so that if my opponent castles, so the king's going to be on g8. Okay, we want the knight here in front of the king, and then the queen wants to come and grab this pawn or this pawn, okay, and deliver checkmate. Now, clearly, at this point in time, my queen cannot capture the h7 pawn and checkmate my opponent. Why? Because it's defended by this knight on f6. So we're going to have to move the knight on f6. So, for example, you could push e5. However, if I suddenly decide to drop my queen into there somehow, right, black can then play g4. Okay, so my next move, I've got a plan in mind, so I just quietly move my queen to one side so it's ready to dive into the h6 square, all right? And black obliges me by castling, okay? Now, what I'd love to do is hit the knight runs away, I come in here, knight follows, and then this is the unstoppable mate, right? Because there's nothing, because this rook is still here, okay, the king would have nowhere to go, can't go to any of these squares, okay? So, but what if black plays knight to g4? That will completely bugger up my plan because now I can't drop my queen on there, okay? So, important, my next move, h3. Again, this looks very quiet, and my opponent thinks, you know, I'm in this game now, right? So he pushes c4, attacking my bishop. Now I think for a minute, and I think, do you know what? I can spare that bishop because I think now that my attack should be conclusive. So I play queen into h6. Black happily gobbles up the bishop. I ignore that and I hit the knight. Okay, so now the knight can't come to g4 because I just take it, and then in comes the knight anyway. So the knight comes here and grabs a pawn, right? You see, don't be greedy, people. Now the knight comes in here, and what can black do from this situation? That's why it's unstoppable. Okay, moves the rook to one side, doesn't matter. Queen takes h7, check. There's only one legal move. Queen takes f7, checkmate. And that's it. So this is the pattern that you need to look out for. And it's really relatively simple. Okay, so kind of three things. Moving the knight in front of the king. Yeah, slide the queen in and aim for this pawn. Okay, all you have to do is deal with this guy, this sentry knight. And you know, there's all kinds of ways that you can do that. You could attack it with a bishop, you can attack it with pawns, whatever you need to do. But this is a checkmate that has happened over and over and over and over again. Keep your eyes peeled for this as an opportunity in your own games, because it really saved my bacon in this game. You know, I'm playing somebody 300 points lower rated than myself, and it would have really hurt if I'd have you know, not found a way to win that game. But in the end, less than 20 moves, a very satisfying game. And just try and commit that to memory. Okay, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you soon.